patents, and out of 5, one is granted. And sir, transferred 16 technologies to the stakeholders, and that technologies is already commercialized by number of the stakeholders. Sir, established business incubation center in year 2013 at NDRI Karnal. Through that center, sir conducted more than 55 training programs, and through that center, sir commercialized 15 technologies and established more than 125 business ventures. Sir received so many awards in that PG Nair Award by NDRI Alumni Association in year 2010, Best Teacher Award of NDRI Karnal 2012, SK Shirohi Memorial Outstanding Young Research Award, then Dr. C. Subramaniam Award in year 2015 for Outstanding Teacher by ICR in. Then Sir as a fellow of a number of the organization in that Indian Dairy Association, the National Academy of Dairy Sciences. He is also chairman of Business Planning and Development Unit at NDRI Karnal. The sir's experience in this field is very vast, and it's my kind request to all the participants, listen carefully, and if any doubt regarding the milk and milk product processing.
Hello.
हाँ sir, Singh sir, you can start the session, sir.
Yes.
You can start the
Yes,
sharing.
yes,
Sharing screen.
yes, AK Singh sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Very good morning to all of you. First of all, I would like to thanks organizers for giving me an opportunity to share some of the work which basically we are doing at our institute, National Dairy Research Institute. Uh, for my own convenience and also, as per the mandate of this training program, I have slightly modified the topic of my presentation, that is advances in processing and preservation of milk and milk product. And here I will discuss uh, the work which basically we and our group is has done in past and also continuing. So this National Dairy Research Institute, as you all know, it's a very old premium organization, not only in India but in Asia and all over the world. And it was established in 1923 in Bangalore as Imperial Institute of Animal Husbandry and Dairying. And then in 1955, it moved to its current location, that is at Karnal. And for the last almost 75 years, we are contributing significantly, especially in white revolution of that country. Why I have given this picture? Because the two great legendary personality of our nation, Bapu, Mahatma Gandhi ji, and Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, they undergo a training of almost 20 days duration on animal rearing or farming in dairy farming at our Bangalore Institute in 1927. So our institute basically works in three areas. That is dairy production, which is related to the animal husbandry part. Then milk processing, where we have four constituent division, that is dairy chemistry, dairy microbiology, dairy technology, engineering, and lastly the extension and management part. Uh, as you all know, probably know that we are the topmost among the all agriculture universities. So it is a very kind of daunting task to maintain our level, and that's why with less than 1,000 students and close to around 125 faculty, we are involved in research, teaching, and extension activities. So coming to my topic, probably milk is considered to be a kind of sacred food commodity. It is a complete food because you name any nutrient, any component which is required for the growth, development, and also the sustainability of life it is available. And probably this is the only food which is not prohibited at any stage except certain disease condition. Otherwise it is recommended for people of all age group. It is having a very unique amino acid profile, balancing balance of micronutrient, and still a lot of work is going on to find out what we call is milk mining, to find out what new kind of molecules are present in the milk, and also what kind of therapeutic effect of these molecules on any individual's health. So far around more than 500 different type of bioactive component have been identified from both bovine as well as non-bovine milk. Then now we are living in an era of functional food and nutraceuticals. And if you ask me which is the best example of any nature's naturally occurring functional food, probably it is mother's milk, because mother's milk is having all kind of bioactive component which is required for its growth, development, immunity, and especially the cognitive ability. And it is known that initial 1,000 days are very crucial for any individual's life, and the kind of nutrient which he or she get in during 2.5 up to 2.5 years of age, that is related with its well-being in the later part. And if there any kind of deficiencies there, definitely that cannot be corrected, no matter how much effort you do in terms of providing educate nutritionally rich food product. Then because milk is not only from the nutritional point of view, but at the same time its preservation has also been a very important component and task, particularly when we have to deliver a wholesome food product in terms of nutrient and other issues. Probably this is one commodity which is widely mentioned in our old literatures. Okay, so in ancient Vedic civilization, they grow around cows, which and you will find the mention of milk, cream, butter, and yogurt for these products. Rigveda also consider cows as sacred and milk as an important food product. Charak Samhita, you will find there are a lot of documented health effects and also certain recipes. And our group has started now working on some of those recipes, especially with the various kind of plant commodities, herbs, Ayurvedic preparations, in to combine with the milk and milk nutrient, so that we can develop some kind of unique functional food. You name any body organ system, milk components have a kind of positive effect, whether it is heart health, bone health, even mood, memory, stress control, immune defense, digestive system, weight management. You name any organ system or any body system, milk nutrient or its digestive product, they have a very positive role in improving our health status. And that's why nowadays if you look at the profile of current commercially available uh, functional food, probably the milk or dairy products, they constitute a very large share of it. Then now coming to the what is the scenario of milk production. As you all know that we are the largest producer of milk, and in 2018 we produced close to around 185 million ton, which is around 20 to 22% of the total. Like we are the largest or having substantial share in terms of milk production. And it is expected that by 2022 our milk production which will reach to a figure of around, will cross 200 million ton. And this is a kind of success story which is predominantly based on the smallholders contribution. So almost 80 million farmer, unlike western countries where the milk production is highly centralized, our milk production is totally scattered, decentralized. And almost 80 million farmers, they rear animal and contribute to our national milk pool. So when we talk about the milk production scenario, also the supply chain and marketing is highly decentralized. So total, whatever we produce, almost 50 to 55% of the milk is consumed in the form of liquid milk. And again, in that 50% milk, close to 50% milk is retained by the producer because they don't find any option how to channelize in the market. And this is one area where probably we have to work so that we can increase the or ensure a better return to the farmers. And uh, among the various subsectors of the food industry, probably the milk is one commodity where you will find the maximum percentage of processing, which is close to around 34%. But again, only 18 to 20% of the milk which is produced in the country is handled by the organized sector, so-called cooperative, because the white revolution is credited to the cooperative movement, but you will be surprised to know that only 8 to 9% of the total milk is handled by the cooperative. Then 80% of the milk is still processed, or you can say consumed by the traditional or so-called halwais system. Though we are the largest producer, but we have a very negligible presence, close to around 2% presence in the international trade scenario. And despite the fact that we are located among the, or surrounded by the countries which are milk deficient, whether it is SARC nations, whether it is Southeast Asian nation or African or Middle East. So we have a lot of market opportunity, but probably the quality is the major factor because of which we are not able to penetrate into the international market. Then again, because liquid milk is the major form in which it is consumed, and the inherent composition, like high moisture content, a lot of easily available or assimilable kind of nutrient, and also interaction with the surrounding environment, these are the various factors which basically limit, because the moment milk come down from the udder, it is sterile, but immediately there will be a rapid buildup or contamination from the microbes from the milking environment. And there are a number of factors, microbial of course, but there are many other chemical reactions like oxidation, browning, physical changes like loss and gain of moisture, loss of aesthetic quality, loss of nutritive value. So when we talk about the quality or wholesomeness, probably all these factors are basically one has to consider for extension of the shelf life. The current safety issues are not only limited to microbes, but the emerging group of pathogens, processing induced intermediates like maillard reaction product, then migration of compounds from the package, and apart from that, number of contaminants. And probably one of the reasons why we are not able to have a presence in the international market is very high amount of residues, whether it is antibiotic residues, heavy metal, or pesticide. All kind of residues are generally much above the MRL level in certain parts where, or which the portions which are considered to be the major milk producing area. Yes, sir. Next. Then processing intervention for shelf life enhancement, of course the best one are like thermal processing, and again depending on the time temperature combination, it can be referred as pasteurization, thermization, sterilization in UST. Low temperature processes like chilling and freezing, traditional processes like desiccation, which is involved in production of sweets, fermentation, application of additives like sugar, preservative, then improve packaging materials and vacuum packaging systems. So some of the options, and among these options, no doubt, the thermal processing are is the one which is having the maximum, application. Uh, then I would like to give you some, historical perspective. William Dew, actually, he recommended almost the work almost 40 years before the work of Louis Pasteur, who has established the connection between the microorganism and the spoilage, and heating is one intervention by which we can reduce the microbial count. So he recommended that heating of the milk before, especially for infant feeding, is essential to deliver a good quality product. Then in 1853, Gail Borden, he has patented a process for concentrating the milk solids and also the addition of sugar, which basically prolonged the shelf life of the milk, and that is exactly the today's concentrated milk technology. uh, However, the relationship between the heating, destruction and microbial destruction of microbes was not established till the work of pasteurization. And in Louis Pasteur, basically he discovered in 1860 to 70s that even a low temperature treatment around 60 degrees centigrade can substantially improve the keeping quality of the milk. And basically the kind of microorganisms which get destructed at this temperature zone are related to the spoilage. However, later on, various time temperature combination was applied, and from the public food safety point of view, the killing of pathogenic microorganisms was the major consideration rather than and also substantial reduction of the spoilage microbes. Later on, this HTST pasteurization, and this can be defined as a thermal processing by heating it at a temperature of around 72 degrees centigrade for not less than 15 seconds. And here the major target microorganisms are Mycobacterium tuberculosis and later on Coxiella burnetii. And since their enumeration to ensure whether the milk is pasteurized or not is not possible, so we normally use alkaline phosphatase as an indicator. To if this enzyme is destructed, that means our time temperature combination which we are applying is high. Although this time temperature combination is theoretically mentioned in most of the books, but under our Indian conditions, because we have a tropical subtropical environment, so our initial microbial count is very high. Okay, and that is the reason why if you discuss with industry, they always say that normally they use a temperature not less than 80 degrees centigrade for at least 32 seconds to 1 minute during the pasteurization. Okay, then in our scenario, this HTST pasteurization become one of the most widely used kind of processing intervention because of the ease of operation, availability of plant and machinery. But again, because this pasteurization treatment, pasteurized milk is often subjected to post-processing contamination, mostly from the equipment, packaging line. So it is having a shelf life of even less than 1 week. Otherwise, in Western countries, you'll find the pasteurized milk can be kept even at ambient temperature, which is around 15 to 20 degrees centigrade in their situation for not less than 15 to 20 days. And again, we cannot say we have this kind of notion that probably the pasteurized milk is safe, but and we often keep it for weeks together under refrigeration conditions. But we know that there are a number of psychotropic bacteria, particularly the Listeria, Yersinia, Bacillus, Staphylococcus aureus. They may grow even at lower temperature and may pose threat to human life because of the production of certain toxins. So there are some problems in the pasteurized milk is because it is, again, as I said, it's a time temperature combination. So many times we don't know about the initial microbial count. Okay, and for that we use a time temperature combination which is generally as per our availability of the equipment, and many times it it is not able to cause substantial destruction of the predominant spoilage and pathogenic microorganism. Okay. Then, as I told you, refrigeration storage does not ensure microbes, as majority of these pathogens are zoonotic in nature and can survive under low temperature conditions. So this microbial growth is not only affect the shelf life or cause safety issue, but it also alter the sensory characteristics because of its effect on the milk constituent. And we know that complete cold chain, which is one kind of prerequisite right from the point of production till it reaches to the consumer, essential. But our cold chain status is highly fragmented. Okay, so at milk production, it's almost absent. Pre-cooling, rarely observed. Then refrigerated transport, again, the scenario situation, and that is the reason when if there is any breakage during the supply chain or cold chain, that again make lead to the rapid development of microbial count and particularly the acidity development. And that is the reason why if there is any souring, people resort for adulteration, and this is the reason why this neutralizer are the major kind of adulterant in our milk system. So whenever there is souring, definitely what people do, they will add soda or any neutralizer to just to overcome the problem of acidity. Then I would like to discuss zoonotic disease. What is zoonotic disease? Means the disease which can be transmitted from animals to human being. Okay, and since we have a kind of particularly in the rural, because animal keeping is mostly a kind of profession for the rural people, and our animals and the people, human being, they live in very close proximity. So all, so there is very high chances of transmitting some of these diseases to from animals to human being. And if you look at the data for the last 15 to 20 years, majority of the emergent pathogenic diseases, including this corona, is caused by the animals. Okay, so 75% of all emerging diseases, they are zoonotic in nature, and this is a kind of double-edged weapon, because it may not only cause serious and fatal illness to human being, but also cause great loss in animal production, which is having which may result in huge financial and economic losses. Just to give you an idea, that every year, because of the disease, because of these diseases, almost we are not able to produce 30 million tons of milk because of the animal diseases. And if we are able to maintain the health of our animal, probably we will be able to produce this much amount of milk, around 30 million ton, which is sufficient to give 2 glass of milk to around 200 million children per daily. So you can understand how important these zoonotic diseases are. Then some of the zoonotic diseases can be through direct contact, through inhalation, can be through bite, like a vector borne. Some may be like through abrasive skin or wound infection, and some which can be through the milk, meat, fish, or poultry. So especially in the case of milk, salmonellosis, brucellosis, tuberculosis, listeriosis, campylobacteriosis. These are the one which have been reported to a large number. And even in our country, in early in 1998, a group of our researchers have identified, first time they established that Listeria monocytogenes is also present in our liquid milk and dairy product, which are kept under refrigeration condition. And if it is not handled, not processed properly, probably it will result in certain serious kind of health issues. Other kind of pathogens, and particularly our concern are like thermophilic campylobacter, because this is present in the GIT of cattle, pig, sheep, chicken. That act as a very good survivor, and also it can secrete in the milk of healthy animal, can survive for weeks together, even at a temperature of 4 degrees centigrade. So normally, most of the people have this perception that if we keep our milk or other food stuffs in refrigerator, probably there will be it will be free from any kind of microbial spoilage or pathogenicity, which is not the case, because majority of the pathogenic bacteria, they are, first of all, majority of them are zoonotic in nature, and second thing is most of them can survive under refrigeration temperature. Okay, so some important groups, other kind of groups are like Bacillus cereus. You all know that the Bacillus cereus toxin is has caused a lot of mortality, especially in infant food. Staphylococcus aureus, which is present in our nasal passage, and basically it comes through uh, improper hygienic condition, okay, of workers as well as the plant. And although we can thermal processing is sufficient enough to take care of the vegetative form, but preformed enterotoxin, if it is present in the food, then it can survive even the pasteurization temperature. Then some strategic intervention, because particularly now we are talking about the climate change. Okay, and already what we observe, that there are new challenges in the form of new microbial species, solar radiation, because it is having number of components, gaseous composition is also changing, temperature is highly, so all these factors basically affect the not only raw milk quality. So for that we have to look for clean milk production strategy or on farm processing. Then in processing we have to ensure that our product is free from these pathogenic and spoilage microorganisms to have an adequate shelf life, particularly at ambient temperature. And for that we have a readily available solution in the form of UST processing, storage, transportation under cold chain. So continuation of the cold chain, and probably government has also since long recognized it, and there is a scheme of Ministry of Food Processing Industry on the cold chain itself. And initially the dairy sector was not covered under this cold chain scheme, but now it is also dairy industry is also benefited by it. And then consumers like innovative packaging methods. So I will discuss in subsequent sections about the UST processing, some of the thermal, non-thermal alternative technologies, what you can call as a smart technology, and some I will touch a little bit about the packaging part. Okay, UST. When we talk about UST, UST can be defined as a thermal processing of milk by heating it for an extremely short period, only for fraction of second at a temperature not less than 135 degrees centigrade, which is required to kill the spores of most heat resistant spore forming bacterial group. Okay, and normally people have perception that if you go to such a high temperature, probably there will be complete destruction of all nutrients, and the sensory quality will also get impaired. However, this is not true, because the kinetics of microbial destruction is much higher than the kinetics for nutrient destruction. So some of the claimed advantages is like elimination of refrigerator, transportation and storage. Product can be kept at ambient temperature. Longer shelf life, at least 3 to 6 months. Safe product. It is a kind of continuous system, so very minimal human intervention. Minimum changes in product quality, longer delivery frequency, and also the cost of storage and distribution is reduced because you don't require any cold chain. Okay. Typically, this UST treatment or your processing consists of having two parts. One part is where product is sterilized by using various kind of sterilization methods like superheated steam, dry hot air, hydrogen peroxide in combination with heat. This is basically for packaging material one. Then gamma radiation, infrared. So last four ones are basically used for sterilization of the packaging material. So it is basically a combination of sterilization technique and aseptic packaging technology, and that's why the cost of UST treatment is higher. And the packaging which are available in different forms are like cartons, bottle, pouch, can, cup. So all different kind of packaging materials are now can be used for this one. The typical type of aseptic packaging system consists of a 6-layer packaging. That is polyethylene, two layers of polyethylene, aluminum, polyethylene, paper, and polyethylene. And these layers, they perform different type of functions, like they act as a moisture barrier, oxygen barrier, and also like which is required for the printability or for getting the information or labeling. So I will not go into the detail of aseptic packaging. Probably, the cost, why the cost of aseptic, this UST milk is higher, because of the cost which is involved in aseptic packaging. And lot of innovation nowadays is going on how we can minimize the number of layers. And for that, there is another solution that is called as extended shelf life milk. So extended shelf life milk, where milk need not to heat to such a high temperature, but it is a kind of combination of technologies where first the milk is heated, is treated or passed through a microfiltration to reduce the microbial count, followed by pasteurization, conventional pasteurization, and then subsequently aseptic packaging. So Amul Moti is one product which is here, which is available. It is having only three layers, and inside layer is of ethylene vinyl alcohol. Okay, and also it is black colored from inside to check the any kind of oxidation reaction. Some facts about this UST milk, if you compare with the pasteurized milk, okay, or sterilized milk, the biological value, the true digestibility of milk proteins are unaffected by the UST processing. So it will have a biological value of 100, pasteurized milk 101, and UST milk is also 101. Slight loss in available lysine, and because of the initiation of Maillard Browning reaction. No physical or chemical changes in the milk fat. Only some reports are there which indicate there will be certain losses in polyunsaturated fatty acid content. No change in the mineral content. However, the milk minerals, particularly the calcium and magnesium, it transfer from the colloidal phase to serum phase, and that basically improve its bioavailability. So in fact, few studies which is carried out in different countries, they indicate that the feeding of UST milk to infants basically improve their bone health. Then also there will be no significant loss in terms of vitamins, both water as well as fat soluble, except in case of folate and ascorbic acid. And we all know that milk is not considered to be a good source of ascorbic acid. In fact, it is present in a very low amount. On the sensory side, the UST milk is more whiter as compared to pasteurized milk. Okay. Moreover, there is development of a cook flavor, which is due to the interaction of certain proteins. So it is another interesting fact that the Indian people, because we have a habit of consuming boiled milk, and during this boiling process, lot of browning reaction take place, like caramelization, Maillard browning reaction, which and this caramelized, these products of Maillard browning reaction also are give not only color but also assist in development of a cooked flavor, which is basically relished by Indian customer, unlike Western countries where they don't prefer to have a cooked flavor. Increase in viscosity because of the change in the casein micelle structure, so better mouthfeel, consistency, and it also contain higher amount of lactulose. Lactulose is basically a kind of isomer which is formed during the extensive heating uh, at such a high temperature from lactose. So it is basically a kind of isomerization reaction which take place, and this lactulose is considered to be a kind of prebiotic substance, laxative, and probably some of you might be aware that there is a Dufalec, a kind of pharmaceutical preparation, which is a kind of lactulose syrup, and it is given to the patient suffering with hepatic encephalopathy or undergone some kind of operation. So it is laxative, it is prebiotic, and nowadays even some of the infant formula are there where this lactulose is deliberately added to promote the growth of bifidobacteria, particularly the infant gut. So on one side, but there are certain safety concern also, because we know when you heat any food product, especially milk or any product which is rich in carbohydrate or protein, so there will be formation of many Maillard reaction products, and there is lot of controversy. You'll find if you scan through the literature, some will say these Maillard reaction products are good, they are antioxidant, they are good for health. On the other side, many literatures are there which indicate they are mutagenic, may even under extreme conditions they can be carcinogenic also. Acrylamide formation, particularly in starch rich material, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon peroxides and other compound formed during the heating and frying of oil, biogenic amines, nitrosamine, particularly these kind of products are there present in fermented foods and forms also during the extensive heating like barbecuing. formation of trans fat during the industrial hydrogenation process. So this is some negative aspect, particularly which are of safety concern. Uh, that's why we are looking for some alternative technologies for this one. Now, why smart processing technology? Why there is need when we have already uh, established technologies? So first of all, to preserve the wholesomeness of food. Wholesomeness, when we say, that means it's nutritive value, therapeutic richness in therapeutic component, freedom from any kind of pathogen or spoilage microorganisms, freedom from any kind of contaminant, uh, and there are only few technologies which has ability to deliver wholesome product. Moreover, our conditions, because as we know that cold chain is highly fragmented, so how we can make product shelf stable for its effective distribution, and also under less stringent storage conditions, for minimizing the adverse effect of thermal treatment, to ensure consumer safety of the processed food. And some of the smart technologies which we can say have either commercialized or commercial potentials can be thermal, where the treatment time is less, like microwave, ohmic, infrared. On the other side, non-thermal treatments like membrane processing, HHP, ultrasound, and pulse electric field. Although this irradiation also have lot of potential, but again, dairy products, they are not the ideal candidate for irradiation, because because of their richness in fat. And the moment they get irradiated, there is formation of lot of peroxides or other kind of compounds which not only impair the sensory quality, but at the same time also affect the product safety also. So one technology among the thermal technology which is having short residence time is ohmic heating. There are a number of other terms which we can also use, like direct resistant heating, joule effect heating, electroconductive heating, electroresistive heating. And the basic principle is that heat generation occurs when an electric current is passed through an electrically conducted food product. And milk is, because it is having lot of ionic components, so milk is one of the ideal kind of raw material for ohmic heating. And in our institute we have done some work. We have not only fabricated a small scale kind of ohmic heater, but also applied this ohmic heater for pasteurization of the milk, for concentration of the milk to make products like basundi. And what we have, I'm not giving in the technical details of the what we have achieved, but it definitely the concentration factor was much higher as compared to the open pan kind of concentration process. So here, as you keep on increasing the temperature, okay, the time which is required for processing is, it depends on the volt. Okay, so higher the volt, faster will be the achievement to higher processing temperature. And that is basically so that basically assists in processes like pasteurization, where we have to heat milk within a very short process time. And also for concentration like water evaporation process. Moreover, ohmic heating is also good for semi viscous food product, particularly the particulate containing, like kheer or paisam. So we have done some work for extending the shelf life of these product, uh, uh, using this ohmic heating intervention. The next important technology is membrane processing. Okay, so membrane processing, how it differs from the conventional filters, like in case of, like in terms of component, pore size, filter media, pressure, process design, and degree of separation which is achieved. So here it is conventional filter which is having pore size more than 10 micron. Then filter media is thick and open structure. Pressure which is applied is atmospheric. And process design is perpendicular to the filter media, can be open in system, and material can be removed completely. Whereas on the other side, membrane processing is having pore less than 10 micron size, thin and controlled pore size, high pressure is required. For that we need some pumps. Then process design can be cross tangential flow, closed system, and mostly it is used for the concentration process of the particle. The various kind of membrane processes which have potential, which are applied basically in the dairy industry, is like reverse osmosis, nano filtration, ultra filtration, and microfiltration. And they differ in their pore size and also the kind of material which can pass through. So for example, this microfiltration is can be operate even at a pressure less than 1 bar, and this is one membrane processing technology which will retain milk fat and microorganisms. So in our institute, the work which we have conducted, now almost 99% of the microbial count is reduced when it is subjected to microfiltration. And subsequently, by using, and that is the technology which can be used for extended shelf life of milk, where initial microbial count can be reduced, and then we can also minimize the thermal processing requirement, because the after microfiltration the counts are very less. So even lower temperature can be applied for shorter duration to achieve the similar level of lethality. Ultrafiltration is basically a kind of concentration process where proteins are retained, but lactose, mineral, water, and also this some minerals, they pass through it. However, bacteria and proteins, they get concentrated. Nanofiltration is a kind of desalinization process where apart from this protein, uh, minerals are also minerals, they pass through, but lactose is retained in it. Reverse osmosis is a kind of process, you can say non-thermal process, where we can simply remove the milk. In fact, some of the work which we carried out using this reverse osmosis is for the concentration of the milk at the collection point itself. So basically, this process reduce the cost of transportation, and also it can be a very good alternative for thermal evaporation technique. Then these are the different kind of membranes or configurations. Membrane configuration, it can be spiral wound, it can be in the form of hollow fiber, it can be plate frame, it can be tubular. And now a lot of chemical engineers are working on developing this membrane material. And today we are using a kind of hybrid kind of system, like fourth generation of membranes for in the dairy industry. So based on the separation mechanisms, operational process, membrane material, module configuration, separation domain, membrane-based commercial ingredients like microfiltration is basically used for the separation of micellar casein and native whey protein. Ultrafiltration is used for milk protein concentrate, whey protein isolate, even for the fractionation of individual whey protein like beta lactoglobulin, alpha lactoglobulin. Nanofiltration is basically for the preparation of bioactive milk, whey protein hydrolysates, glycomacropeptides, whereas RO is reverse osmosis for lactose concentration of whey permeate, lactulose, or deproteinized kind of whey. So there are a number of applications, and this technology, apart from offering preservation, for example, in case of microfiltration or concentration, is basically very much popular for uh, for example, starting with skim milk. These are the different techniques, or different like concentration, fractionation, standardization, concentration, and these can be applied. These we have applied in production of milk protein concentrate for the cheese manufacture. Okay, as the alternative to thermal processing, standardization for milk, like concentration by UF, even fractionation of individual therapeutically important proteins like lactoferrin, lactoglobulin, and here we also applied ion exchange chromatography. Then next technology about which I will discuss in detail, because here we worked on high pressure processing. So among the so many non-thermal technology other than irradiation, this is the only technology which has reached to the stage of commercialization. And this is not only a kind of preservation technique, but also it has potential to modify the, some of the component, particularly the proteins. And we know that nowadays either plant protein or animal proteins, they are very much in demand as an ingredient in food industry. So uh, this is one area where now we are planning to have some work on modification of milk protein using high hydrostatic pressure. And this technique also have a ability to improve the nutritional, therapeutic, microbial, and functional characteristics of milk and milk product. Okay, so like from the preservation point of view, does high pressure processing actually cause major effect on the microbial membrane? Beside affecting its morphology, its metabolic activity, but the major site of action is either the membrane bound enzymes and also the permeability of the cell membrane and cell wall. And this is the reason why you will find differential response to the high pressure processing. So for example, the gram positive bacteria, they are more resistant because of the presence of tishoic acid. And if you compare the various microbial groups, the most sensitive are the yeast, fungi, followed by bacteria, again the gram negative bacteria, followed by gram positive bacteria, and then bacterial spores. So the work which we have conducted, basically here we targeted the various major bacterial groups, spoilage groups like Pseudomonas, E. coli, and Lactococcus species. So majority of these species, they get inactivated when the pressure was applied above 400 megapascal, even for a period of around 10 minutes. Okay, and the work which we have carried out, there we achieved a shelf life of almost 20 days when the buffalo milk was, or cow milk, both milk was treated to around 400 megapascal for 10 minutes under refrigerated conditions. So this is another, based on our work, we tried 3 different bacteria. E. coli, which is a way, representative of the hygienic condition of the environment. S. thermophilus, which is a kind of microbial starter. Listeria monocytogenes, which is a pathogenic. So we spiked our milk with these 3 different groups of microorganisms, and here you can see that E. coli, they get inactivated when even at a pressure range of around 200 megapascal. There was decrease in the count, but not very substantial in case of S. thermophilus. However, the Listeria monocytogenes, which is sorry Mysteria monocytogenes, it get inactivated when the pressure applied at 400 megapascal, both in the skim milk as well as whole milk. Then apart from ensuring this microbial safety, although we cannot say that high pressure processing will yield a product which is sterile and can be kept under ambient condition. Okay, we require a cold chain, because if it has to be because the currently available equipments, generally they can process up to 1000 megapascal, whereas for complete inactivation of all microbial life, you require a pressure treatment of close to around 1500, above 1500 megapascal. And for that, some modification or some engineering in improvement is required with the currently available equipments. Other alternative option is that where what we can do, we can apply it in combination with thermal treatment. Then in that case, again, the thermal treatment which is required must be close to around 80 to 90 degrees centigrade, and in that case it cannot be called as non-thermal process. Bacterial spores, of course, are the major food safety concerned when we talk about the high pressure processing, and for that either cyclic pressurization means like initial treatment to a lower pressure range of around less than 100 megapascal, and then subsequently to a around 400 to 600 megapascal will basically inactivate the spores. Or we can use a combination with certain other additives like bacteriocin, which we also found in case of paneer when we applied high pressure processing in combination with bacteriocins. There was substantial improvement in the shelf life of paneer, which was processed even at a temperature of around 20 degrees centigrade. Then I was talking about the effect of this high pressure processing on the milk constituent, and this is very interesting because milk protein as such is a consortium of different type of protein. Major protein are is casein, but again there are a lot of variants in casein, that is alpha S1, S2, beta casein, kappa casein, and all these proteins they differ in their functionality, solubility, behavior, and also in terms of like functionality. The whey proteins are like beta lactoglobulin is the major one, almost 50% of the total whey protein, followed by alpha lactalbumin, wine serum albumin, and then there are some minor whey proteins like lactoferrin, lactoperoxidase, lysozyme, which are important from the therapeutic point of view and also immunity point of view. And also we can call them as antimicrobial protein. So the beta lactoglobulin is the most sensitive whey protein, sorry, milk protein among and its denaturation starts at a 100 mega when the the uh, pressurization was increased above 100 megapascal, and this denaturation of beta lactoglobulin is also influenced by the temperature treatment. So if you are using thermal treatment in combination with high pressure treatment, there will be rapid destruction. pH, and particularly it is more stable at a neutral pH or at the native pH of milk, which is around 6.7. And if you compare with the beta lactoglobulin, alpha lactalbumin is more resistance, and its denaturation occur only above 500 megapascal. And this variability in barrow resistance between these proteins are basically related with the amount of sulfhydryl group and number of disulfide linkages which are present into it. Casein, up to 150 to 200 megapascal, you won't find any change in the casein micelle size. But between the pressure range of 250 to 600 megapascal, the casein micelle disruption take place, and its size will reduce by 40 to 50%. And if you observe, there are a number of techniques by which we basically monitor, and one such technique is transmission electron microscope, or differential is light scattering technique, particle size analysis. And all these techniques indicate that treatment of raw skim milk at 400 or 600 pascal completely disrupt all large casein micelles into smaller fragments. And this disruption will have a major impact on some of the functional properties of milk, or milk which is treated to high pressure. And so here you can see that this dissociation is not only affected by the pressure but also affected by the pH. So normally this is a kind of model where these protruding or outside hairy like projections are kappa casein. The alpha one casein is buried in because of the hydrophobic, like beta casein is hydrophobic, so it is buried inside the pores area. And then there is calcium phosphate bond, diesters bond. And due to this pressurization, there will be solubilization of colloidal calcium phosphate, and it increase the electrostatic repulsion, and the casein micelle disruption will take place. And it will, here you can see, then when we applied, so this is electrophoretic pattern. So when we applied this high pressure treatment uh, to different tune, there was heavy sedimentation, and this sedimentation, when we analyze, they basically were the casein fragments. Okay, and also there was decrease in the uh, like concentration of whey proteins. So this is one technique by which we can also separate the different whey proteins. Okay, so like beta lactoglobulin, so by applying different pressure range, we can separate beta lactoglobulin, alpha lactoalbumin, immunoglobulin, and serum. So currently, either we are using membrane processing technology, and that too in combination with ion exchange chromatography, which is very costly. So it is one alternative technique by which we can separate the different fractions, because these fractions are having some therapeutical component. For example, alpha lactalbumin is required for humanization of infant formula. Okay, because alpha lactalbumin is although it is one of the major protein present in mother's milk or breast milk, and it is low in concentration in case of bovine milk. So to make infant formula, we have to enrich, or we have to increase the concentration of alpha lactalbumin, and for that the currently available technologies are very costly. Okay, so when you use it, definitely the cost of infant formula will also increase. Then what is the consequences of this high pressure treatment? So there will be increase in the exposure of hydrophobic groups, increase in protein hydrophobicity, and some of the and that is the reason why we can modulate or alter the functional properties, for example renate coagulation properties, foaming, emulsifying, gelling, water binding capacity. And this is one area where we are going to start our work. Some preliminary work we have done, and we have observed that if we subject our milk to high pressure processing, we can also change the functional properties of the milk protein ingredient, either WPC or milk protein concentrate. Other kind of changes which are of our concern are like thermal stability, color properties, renate coagulation properties, and viscosity of milk. In fact, when milk is treated to high pressure processing, there was increase in the viscosity or mouthfeel score. Okay, and that was because of the fragmentation of the casein micelle size, so the voluminosity get increased at a particularly at a lower pressure range. And when you consume such milk, even at lower total solid level, and even in absence of fat, the milk will have a creamy or rich mouthfeel. So this, we all know colostrum. Colostrum is the secretion initial, after calving, the 2 to 3 days milk is called colostrum, and its composition is entirely different from the normal milk or mature milk. Okay, it is quite rich in protein, and mostly the whey protein fraction. Even the concentration of whey protein is in the range of around 60 to 80%, but in mature milk the whey protein is only 20%. Okay, and one of the problem with these proteins are with their highly heat labile. So if you apply for preservation, any thermal like pasteurization, UST, almost all these proteins, their concentration decrease drastically. Uh, so high pressure processing is one such non-thermal technique by which we can preserve the colostrum, and particularly colostrum feeding to infant or human being who are under immune compromised conditions is recommended. And few products have appeared in the western market where the like liquid colostrum treated by high pressure processing, because it is rich in all antimicrobial proteins like lysozyme, lactoferrin, immunoglobulins. So and even this in the milk also, up to 300 megapascal immunoglobulins are resistant, and only 35% denaturation occur after treatment to 500 megapascal, whereas the level of immunoglobulin decreased to tune of around 60 to 70% when it is subjected to conventional HTHT pasteurization. Whereas other important proteins like lactoferrin, lysozyme, they are very resistant. So we can use a combination of microfiltration followed by HSP to extend the shelf life of colostrum, because we have to ensure microbial safety, at the same time also retain the nutrient to it. The other milk constituent, for example, milk fat. Okay, so higher pressure like 400 to 800 megapascal increase the diameter and also broaden the milk fat globule distribution. However, it is not having any effect on milk fat globule membrane, so no destabilization to the cream. And in fact, it is observed that high pressure treated cream has higher total fat content than untreated one. Moreover, high pressure also cause or induce crystallization of milk fat, and this is because of the solid liquid transition temperature is shifted to higher values under pressure, and as a result of which the cream which is obtained is having higher amount of total solid, so we need not to keep it for longer duration. Also, the crystallization and melting temperature of milk fat is increased by 16.3 and 15.5 degrees centigrade for 100 megapascal respectively. And what are the benefits, by if we subject cream or other like milk fat, like it induce fat crystallization. Okay, and mostly milk fat is having a tendency to transform into beta prime crystal form, which is very good or required for bakery product, shorten the time required to achieve desirable total solid. And for that, normally cream has to be kept for almost 24 hours or more than 24 hours, reduce the aging time for ice creams. Okay, enhance the physical ripening of cream for making butter. In fact, the yield of cream as well as butter also increase if the milk fat is treated with uh, high pressure processing. Some of the prospective application in the dairy industry is preservation and flavor retention, acid gel formation production, like simply after high pressure treatment, if you add direct acid, there will be formation of a good coagulum, and particularly in cheese manufacture. This is a kind of technique because for ensuring the product safety, cheese milk has to pasteurize, and pasteurization will cause interaction between the casein and beta lactoglobulin fraction, as a result of which the rennet coagulation time generally increase. Okay, so there are a number of raw milk cheese varieties, and currently considering this food safety issue, now the most of the government, no, most of the regulatory agencies are basically advocating that there should not be any variant of milk cheese, but these cheese are very popular all over the world. Quality improvement of yogurt, whey protein concentrate, to have different kind of functionality, beta lactoglobulin hydrolysates, and particularly this is one technique because we know that beta lactoglobulin is the allergenic to certain individuals and especially infant. So high pressure treatment, because as I said, is even to the tune of around 100 mega or 200 megapascal, basically remove or denature beta lactoglobulin. So the allergenic isotopes, they get can be removed, and milk can be make less allergenic by using this technique. Preparation of starch and milk disruption, then also the inactivation of plasmin alkaline phosphatase, which are the native milk enzymes having some technological consequences. And particularly, sorry, on yogurt, basically yogurt among the if you look at the profile of fermented milk product, you'll find that yogurt is and dahi, some these kind of products are very much popular, but the industry faced two major issues. One is post acidification problem, and as a result of this post acidification, there is syneresis. Okay, the texture actually affect, also it will lead to flavor defects. So in case of by using high pressure techniques, what we have observed, that either we can treat milk before yogurt preparation, so that will result in very good coagulum. Okay, another thing is once our yogurt is set, this yogurt can be subjected to high pressure processing, so it basically inactivate the lactobacilli, okay, which is basically responsible for post acidification process, and there will be, so these two approaches we have applied for improving the quality of yogurt, particularly during the transit. And as I said, in case of cheese making, uh, because this rennet coagulation time, so it is basically a kind of possible alternative to thermal pasteurization, and treatment to around 300 to 400 megapascal. It improved the wet curd yield by almost 20%, reduced losses of protein in whey and also the volume of whey. Cheese yield is also high if you compare with the conventional process, to the tune of around 7%. Moreover, the industry also face problem in terms of space, because they have to keep it for almost 6 months to 1 year for ripening. But high pressure processing technique resulted in a very rapid ripening of the cheeses, okay, and by which we can, in we can, reduce, or we can get the good quality product within a very short duration. And it also, like, if you treat even the cheese, prepared cheese, by high pressure processing, so that will increase the shelf life, ripening modulation of soft, and particularly, because soft and mild ripened cheese varieties like feta, cottage, they are having very short shelf life, but they are very much popular in India. Okay, so by high pressure processing in package, we can use this technique to extend the shelf life of these products. Then we probably, we all know about the like nutraceutical function fermented milk product. So fermented milk products like sour milk, yogurt, cheese, they are digestive. Nowadays, even the digestive products, particularly the hydrolyzed proteins like peptides and amino acid, and many of these peptides are bioactive. Like, they have ability to modulate our body system. They can act as antimicrobial, antioxidative, immunomodulation, mineral carrier, opioid. On the other side, some bacterial cell wall components, they are nowadays, a lot of research is going on, that they also have ability to modulate our immune system, both specific and non-specific. And majority of these molecules, if they are fed to human being, in along with food product, they also have ability to induce or improve our body system. On the other side, living bacteria, they also perform number of functions. I need not to discuss in detail about it. Regarding this probiotic, because if you look at the dairy based functional food, 65% of the uh, dairy food, sorry, functional dairy product market is captured by the probiotic bacteria. And dairy products, they are considered to be the best food system, delivery system, because here the expression of various genetic component, various functional properties is higher of probiotic if we are using milk. Then some of the important genes which encode probiotic functions are induced on exposure to milk. Buffering action of milk proteins, because one of the problem with especially in our condition is that at the time of consumption, the probiotic must have a count must be in the range of around 10 to power 8 to 10 to power 9 cfu. However, because of fluctuation and in absence of cold chain, these probiotics, and also due to this post acidification, the probiotic counts is normally, is between 10 to power 5 to 10 to power 6 only, and which is not sufficient enough to induce any protective or any biological effect on the human subjects. However, the buffering action of milk protein, they offer a kind of resistance against stomach acid, and also in the post or highly acidified, probiotic product. Moreover, all dairy products generally, they are kept in the refrigerated condition, so that will further offer a kind of a stability to probiotics. Moreover, we all know that dairy products, they are integral part of diet and considered as healthy. Now with with emerging lot of some consumer, sorry, the scientific literature, we know that live bacteria, particularly present as a starter in fermented dairy product, are having a beneficial effect on human subjects. Then because nowadays consumers are also preferring to food products which are considered to be healthy and having some kind of novel functionality. Okay, so uh, HSP intervention, how HSP can improve the quality of probiotic dairy product. Basically increase the compression of food matrix, particularly in cheese or in yogurt. So this results in a kind of natural, you can say encapsulation of the probiotics within the food matrix, so they are not affected by the other constituent. Minimize the losses of probiotic during whey removal and coagulation process, especially during the cheese making, because we add these probiotics at the time of before renneting. So it minimize. Another thing is increase the level of denatured protein, peptides, and amino acid, and they, which are fed by these probiotics, and as the result of which their count increase. Then it also influences the secondary proteolysis, and hence it also improve the sensory quality. Particularly Indian, why Indians don't prefer cheese, because of the bitterness and very pungent kind of flavor, which is basically related to the proteolytic and lipolytic product. So the secondary metaproteolysis is faster, resulting in short chain peptides, which are less bitter, and at the same time, because we have already seen that majority of spoilage bacteria, they are not baro resistant, but baro sensitive. So they, once they get inactivated, definitely the shelf life of the our product will be higher. uh, Fonterra, which is one of the leading, dairy company all of the world, with basically a new company of New Zealand, they have applied HSP to produce probiotics, immunoglobulins-rich products, and also lactoferrin separation. Okay, and they have in combination with certain either in the form of juice, milk, drink, and yogurt. So some of the researchable issues are like high pressure related effect on concentrated milk and milk protein concentrate. So how we can improve their functional properties. Exploration of baro-resistant probiotic organisms. So like we have initiated some work on this direction, so that because high majority of lactic acid bacteria, which constitute the major group chunk of probiotics, they are not baro resistance. And then effect of combination treatment on microbial dynamics of raw milk and processed dairy product, appropriate packaging material, and also development of suitable high pressure processing. Now I will discuss in very short about the packaging. Okay, so packaging is not only a mean of containment, protection, convenience, but today it is most important mean of communication. So through food labeling, one can find out what kind of nutrients, what kind of ingredients, whether it is vegetative, vegetarian, or non-vegetarian, what is the best before life, shelf life. So it is a kind of approach which we always suggest our entrepreneur or startups, that you must have proper kind of packaging material, which is generally lacking in unorganized dairy sector. So uh, some packaging interventions which can be applied, or aseptic packaging, already have discussed about uh, the UST milk, edible and active packaging system, bio nano composite packaging, and smart packaging. These are the areas which can be extended for as the solution for packaging environment. Another area is a modified atmospheric packaging. We know this concept is existing for years, but the problem is that this technology has not extended to the commodity, across the different commodities. Okay, and this is based on the combination of alteration of the gases composition in favor of carbon dioxide, in reduction of oxygen, and uh, for in majority of dairy product, even the major microbial groups which are associated with the spoilage are mostly molds, aerobic bacteria, and to certain extent lactic acid bacteria. Okay, and these require higher oxygen concentration. On the other side, some of the chemical reaction like rancidity, browning, they are also associated with oxygen concentration. So this technique we have tried to improve the shelf life of some of our traditional sweets kept under modified atmospheric packaging condition, and especially it was found to be more beneficial in terms of cheeses, particularly like a freshly prepared cheese kept under modified atmospheric packaging condition uh, resulted in faster ripening because of the creation of anaerobic environment. Okay, then another emerging concept is of active packaging, and active packaging is one concept where which we have applied, or which we are working, and basically we are working with oxygen sensors. So this oxygen absorbing layer containing certain dyes we have developed here. And another is intelligent packaging, where the packaging system monitor the condition of packaged good to give information about the quality. And in 2016, the active and intelligent packaging marketed account for almost $15.11 billion. So just looking at the freshness indicator, one can customer can easily find out what is the whether the product is considered can be purchased or not. And using this, we have worked on intelligent packaging system for developing the sensor, data carrier, indicator, and so far we have worked with gas sensors, oxygen. Now we have initiated our work with the biosensors also, and we have developed a freshness indicator, a electrospun smart oxygen sensor for monitoring the shelf life of mozzarella cheese. So this mozzarella cheese packaged in this container, and this sensor or was monitored as, or sorry, placed over the packaging material, and by just color change by color change one can easily find out whether the product is good condition or it is spoiled. Okay, so likewise, we have also developed a freshness indicator for Koa and Koa based sweets, where just looking at the color change, like it is fresh, and when its color changes to red, it is a kind of warning that your product is spoiled or is undergoing a spoilage. So through this, we have developed a few this one. Now we are continuing our work in that direction also only, and also we have started our some work on time temperature indicators for monitoring the shelf life of different dairy products. I will not go into the detail of sorry about the packaging, because there was already number of presenter who have discussed about it. Just I wanted to brief that what work we have initiated in the packaging site in our institute. Okay, then at the last, on what basis one can choose any smart processing technology? So these are the different processing technologies which are applied conventionally and also emerging one. So on the basis of like parameter intensity, lethality, structure impact, and cost, one can find out even high pressure processing technique is comparable to irradiation. And if you compare with the cost of so-called widely adopted technology, cost wise it is, because many times people raise this issue that this technique is quite costly. I understand, the initial cost of like capital cost which is involved in terms of like processing infrastructure creation is definitely is higher, but the overall cost of processing is less for even high pressure processing, irradiation. Although there is, it is still not comparable with the thermal processing technology. But again, many times, people also ask, what is if we have to choose between UST milk and pasteurized milk, which one is better? I always suggest that this UST milk. If you look at the scenario, 5 6 years back, the cost of UST pack was above 100 rupees. Now it has come down to in the range of around 60 to 80 rupees per liter. And even in metropolitan cities or in cities like Karnal, good quality fresh milk is all available in the range of around 50 to 55 rupees a liter. So with advancement in equipment, plant machinery, we are getting uh, like we can also minimize the overall cost of processing. I do agree that initial cost of capital cost involved in establishing such facilities are quite high. Lastly, I would like to conclude my presentation that the recent trends indicate consumer interest in therapeutic virtues of the milk nutraceutical. So milk is not merely consumed as for its palatability or some aesthetic quality, but also because of its nutritional virtues. UST processing under Indian scenario is has potential to serve wholesome milk and dairy beverage. And in future, what I am predicting or what I'm visualizing is that this would be the technology on which, and government should also promote establishment of common facilitating processing center where we can process UST product, and that will not require any cold chain, and also there will not be issue. Another option is that we can use a hurdle or hybrid technologies, okay, where instead of using a single technology, we can use a combination of two or more technologies to create a shelf stable kind of product. So for that, we need an intelligent combination, deep understanding. Then innovation in packaging technology could be exploited not only for shelf life extension, but for also to educate our consumers as well. Thank you. Now I can, with the permission of organizers, I can take few questions also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your this nice speech. Sir, your speech is informative, cover almost all the issue, right from milk receiving to the marketing, including smart packaging and smart processing technologies. It is really useful to all our participants in their future from research point of view, extension, teaching point of view, sir. Sir, in this session, one agreement reporter is also participant. Name of that reporter is Sachin Chobe, and he asked one question: what is the difference between A1 and A2 milk, and what is your opinion in this contest?
Okay, this is very tricky question,
Yes,
particularly for a scientific community. The difference between A1 and A2 milk is only the you know uh, positioning of two amino acid in beta casein fraction. Okay, so they differ only in positioning of two amino acid. And in case of A2 milk, it is believed, and some of the studies which has been carried out in particularly in New Zealand, uh, that indicate that the A1 milk, is having after digestion, there is generation of certain peptides, and these peptides basically upregulate the expression of those genes which are associated with lifestyle associated diseases like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, coronary heart, sorry, this cancer, and osteoporosis. So this not much scientific input is available in that direction, but majority of our indigenous animals, buffalo, and also like non-bovine, like goat, sheep, camel, their milk is A2. And looking at the climate scenario, because our indigenous breeds are quite resistant to climate change, they are have very better adaptability. So from the marketing point of view, okay, and to promote our indigenous breed, if one is using A1 A2 kind of concept, I don't feel there is any harm. But on the other side, I also like to, from the scientific perspective, that majority of our animals which are providing milk are crossbred animals, and they may or they may not have A2 allele. Okay, so
Yes,
if
sir.
all of a sudden we start advocating about the A2 milk and creating, without much scientific input about the A2 milk, that it is good and even is bad, probably that will affect the livelihood option for those farmers who are keeping, crossbred animals.
Sir, one of our expert member from USA, Washington State University, Chandrasekharji Sonar, asking one question to you. Chandrasekharji.
Yes,
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for your presentation. It's very informative for me.
thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so at WSU, I have learned about the high pressure processing as well as PEF technology. So,
Okay, sir.
I think this PEF technology is already being used commercially in Europe and USA for transport of milk from collection center to the industry. So, do
Yes,
you
yes.
think whether this technology is suitable for even Indian market, or and what is the current status of this thing now in India?
Sir, I totally agree. Electropure was the first, milk which was launched in US market long back using this first electric field technology. In India,
Okay.
actually, the whatever work is going on is only limited to laboratory scale, and
Okay.
even in high pressure processing, because we do not have any supplier or fabricator from the India. So
Mhm.
whatever we have to, for all these technologies, we have to depend on the imported equipments, and most of these equipments are laboratory scale, not even at the pilot scale. So
Okay.
but I understand, particularly for our condition, for our scenario, PF technology has a lot of potential. Only thing is, in terms of engineering, equipment
Mhm.
design, we need certain type of prototype, so that. But our SRS, the Southern Regional Station, located in Bangalore, they have started some work on laboratory scale PF technology application to liquid milk preservation and processing.
Okay, yeah. Because considering the throughput of these two technology, high pressure has some limitations. It is since still now it is not that
Yeah.
continuous and its throughput is very limited. But PEF system can be implemented on the
Yes. Yes.
pipeline or kind of a UST technology, and it
Exactly.
can handle same amount of milk which is handled in current scenario. So yeah, I think there is a good opportunity to implement that PEF technology on our Indian scenario.
Totally agree with you, sir.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sonarji. Sir, some of the participant ask this question for a diabetic patient. Some of the doctor not recommended the milk. What is your opinion, sir?
As such, milk is not having any kind of diabetic, but because the milk sugar is slowly hydrolyzed. Okay, so its glycemic index is not high if we compare with like sucrose or glucose. But anything, but consumption of liquid milk or fermented dairy product is not having any detrimental effect, or even for that cheese, will not have any kind of major effect on the blood sugar profile of any diabetic patient. But definitely sweets or anything which is containing added sugar into it
Sir.
is not suggested.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Borseji,
Yes,
In
take
fact,
five
here
question.
we have,
yes, yes.
regarding
Ah,
Seyfried's
sir.
diabetic sign, beta casein fraction actually also upon hydrolysis release DPP4 peptide, okay, which is also considered to be good for a diabetic patient because it assists in regulating the insulin level in the body.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Miss Deepa Indoria, want to ask one question. Please, ma'am, ask your question. I have unmuted you.
Once
Yeah.
again, announce the name.
Miss Deepa Indoria. Just
Take next question.
okay, no problem, sir. Actually, okay, sir. Already we have taken the representative question, sir. Otherwise, we have too much question. So, uh, there, okay, we have saved the chat box questions, and we will send to our expert, Dr. Singh sir, and we will take all the answers from him. Sir, I will share all the questions with you because it will not advisable to take all the questions because there are so
Take
many questions.
Borshiji, take a
Yeah.
five representative question from chat box,
Okay. 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 Sure, sir.
please, because of time constraint.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Just, yes, sir. One question from Yogesh Patil: whether milk is complete or ideal food because milk is different in vitamin C and lower content of iron. Then
Yeah.
why it is called as a complete food?
See, we also get these two components from different food product, and there are number of products. Uh, the area on which I am working is composite dairy food, like addition of non-dairy solids like fruits, vegetables, cereals, coarse cereals, millets. So for complementing some of the nutrient which are not present in higher amount. So complete food in the sense that even if you are getting, because even iron from the iron rich food, hardly 10 to 15% or maybe maximum 20% iron is bioavailable. But if you are taking along with milk, so milk is milk proteins, digestive components, they also have like produce certain peptides which have ability to chelate or bind with the iron and make them available, or improve its viability. So I have not included here, but if you have more questions, we have worked on fortification, micronutrient fortification of milk and dairy products, and for that we have applied different kind of intervention. And our target micronutrients were calcium, iron, vitamin A, and vitamin D.
Okay.
So
Thank you, sir. Next question from Bhavani uh, Dogmanti. Her question is during this COVID-19 pandemic, can we go with unpacked milk for daily use?
see, I always suggest the one should not consume unpackaged milk. But the irony is still only 36% of our liquid milk is consumed or is processed. And
Session second of this day 3 at 4 p.m. So we request participants please join on time and also by your name, not by any device name or nick. Thank you one and all. Session second of this day 3 at 4 p.m. So we request okay, thank you. So please be here at the afternoon session second of this day 3 at 4 p.m. So we request participants please join on time and also by your name, not by any device name or nick. Thank you one and all.